Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really interesting idea, maybe even a bit counterintuitive.
Absolutely. We're exploring how our bodies might actually be driving our emotions, drawing from work in, well, what's broadly termed body affects emotion.
Right, it kind of flips the script, doesn't it? Usually we think, I feel sad, so I slump.
Exactly. But this suggests, maybe sometimes, the slumping, the physical state itself, is what helps create that feeling of sadness, or at least influences it heavily.
Okay, so let's unpack this core idea. It's at a constant feedback loop between body and mind.
Precisely. A two-way street. But the really surprising bit is how often the body might be the one sending the first signal.
So subtle physical things,
Mm.
posture, facial expression, they send messages up to the brain.
That's the theory. And those messages can essentially become, well, part of the emotional experience itself. Almost like an emotional echo originating from the body.
Huh. It makes me think of that Louis Armstrong line, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
Yes. That's actually a great sort of everyday example. It touches on that mirroring idea.
We see a smile, we often smile back without thinking.
Right. And this theory takes it a step further. It suggests that your physical act of smiling, even if it's just mirroring someone else, can actually spark a little bit of happiness inside you.
So the physical action itself generates the feeling, or at least boosts it?
It seems to contribute, yeah. Which leads us to some fascinating research, like the pencil experiment.
Ah, yes, I've heard of that one. Tell us a bit about how that worked.
Sure. So researchers had participants hold a pencil in their mouth, but they did it in specific ways.
Okay.
One way, biting the pencil end to end without letting the lips touch. Well, it naturally forces your mouth into the shape of a smile. It engages those specific muscles.
Right, the zygomaticus major muscles, I think.
Exactly. And the other group held the pencil in a way that used muscles more associated with frowning, sort of pursing the lips around the end.
And the point wasn't for them to feel happy or sad, just to hold the pencil.
Correct. They weren't told it was about emotions. Then they were asked to rate how funny some cartoons were.
And what happened?
Well, the group whose faces were making the smile shape, just because of the pencil, they consistently rated the cartoons as funnier.
Wow. Just from holding a pencil differently.
Mm-hmm. It suggests that the physical configuration of their facial muscles actually influenced their judgment of humor and likely, their underlying feeling.
That's a really clear example of the body seemingly leading the emotion.
It is. And it ties into this summarizing phrase you sometimes hear. I must be afraid because I'm running.
Okay, break that down. That sounds backwards.
It does sound backwards compared to how we usually think, right? We normally assume, I feel fear, therefore I run.
Yeah, the fear causes the running.
But this perspective flips it. It's just the physical sensations of running, the pounding heart, the quick breathing, the muscle tension. The brain interprets those signals as the emotion of fear.
So the bodily reaction comes first or happens simultaneously, and the label we give it, the conscious feeling, follows.
That's the essence of it. The physical state informs or maybe even constitutes the emotional experience. It definitely challenges our standard assumptions.
So thinking about the listener,
Mm-hmm.
what's the sort of practical takeaway here? What can you do with this knowledge?
Well, I think the most direct insight is that maybe you have a bit more influence over your mood than you think using your body.
How so?
Even deliberately making small physical changes, like, say, lifting the corners of your mouth slightly, even if you don't feel like smiling.
Just the physical act.
Yeah, it might actually nudge your internal state a little bit towards feeling better. It's not magic, but it could be a tool.
It's definitely a different approach, isn't it? Focusing on the body first, rather than trying to, think your way into a better mood all the time.
Exactly. It's a kind of bottom-up influence, complementing the top-down influence of our thoughts. It gives you another angle, another potential lever to pull.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive. The big idea is that this connection between body and emotion is, well, fundamental and maybe works in ways we don't always expect.
That's right. The body isn't just a puppet reacting to feelings decided elsewhere. It seems to be an active participant, maybe even an originator, in our emotional lives. From smiles to fear, it's all intertwined.
It's a really fascinating perspective, and maybe a final thought for you listening. Just notice, maybe tomorrow, how your posture or your facial expression feels, and perhaps just consciously adjust it slightly, sit up a bit taller, maybe relax your brow, and just see, could that simple physical shift actually change your emotional tone, even just a little, throughout your day? Something to consider.
Definitely food for thought.
And that's all we have time for on this deep dive.